Welcome to Cooking with the Authors. We are your hosts, Jen
and Kristen.
We are going to be baking a delicious coconut cake from a recipe Emily Dickinson herself, or as Emily called it, a cocoa-nut cake. As in one of Emily's famous poems, she said, "God gave me a loaf to every bird, but just a crumb to me. I dare not eat it, though I starve my point luxury to own it, touch it, prove the feat that made the pellet mine. Too happy for my sparrow's chance for antler coveting. It might be famine all around, I could not miss it in an ear. Such plenty smiles upon my board, my garner shows so fair. I wonder how the rich may feel in Indiaman and Earl. I deem that I would be but a crumb and sovereign of them all."
It's going to be an amazing show thanks to Emily Dickinson, who was an accomplished baker. And this dessert is rich but quick to make, just like Dickinson's poetry.
I heard that Emily Dickinson was such a great baker that her father preferred to eat only the bread that Emily made herself.
I would have to agree with you. The kitchen is one of the places Emily felt the most comfortable to be in. With such delicious aromas and recipes, I would be extremely comfortable in that kitchen too.
Well, let's get started making this cocoa-nut cake. It has a layered taste, and perhaps because it is both substantial and light at the same time, reminds me of the combination of whimsy and gravity in her poems. So first, we're going to need coconut, flour, sugar, butter, milk, eggs, baking powder, and wow, that's all the ingredients.
Yes.
So, now that we have made sure that we have all our ingredients, we have to preheat our oven to 325 degrees. Now that that's done, like Dickinson wrote in letter 545, love's oven is warm. We want to make sure our oven is warm.
Yes, we do. In a large mixing bowl, we are going to sift 2 cups of flour, and then 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar and a half a teaspoon of baking soda,
which equals 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. If you don't have cream of tartar, don't worry. You can instead use 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder to substitute for both the baking soda and the cream of tartar. Fun fact, baking soda and cream of tartar make baking powder.
In another bowl, we are going to cream a half a cup of unsalted butter and a cup of sugar. I'm going to do this by hand because this is how Emily Dickinson did it, but you can use an electric mixer to go much faster. Here's the butter.
Softed at room temperature.
Yes. If you don't want hard butter, you cannot do it by hand or in any way.
It'll be hard to cream that way.
Yes. Yes. 1 whole cup. Delicious. We all love sugar, don't we?
Yes, adds great flavor.
For our sweet tooths. Okay, now we need. Perfect.
Just kind of cream that up. After the mixture is light and fluffy, we can now add 2 eggs and a half a cup of milk. Once this is done, we can now add our liquid mixture to the dry mixture. Just set these right.
Yeah, looks good. I think I need a napkin. Accidents do happen.
And another half a cup of milk.
Delicious milk.
And we'll stir that all together now.
Sounds good. should now have a thick batter. Make sure you don't overmix the batter though. Now we will throw in the 1 cup of shredded coconut.
If your shredded coconut is dry, you can always rehydrate it with a little warm water and drain it before mixing it into the batter.
Perfect. Just gonna fold this in.
First, grease the loaf pan, and now, while she's folding in the coconut to the batter, we have a greased pan for when we go to place it in the loaf pan.
Almost done. Looks scrumptious.
Smells good too, actually.
It does. I love coconut. I actually do.
Me too.
We want to make sure it covers all the edges.
As best as you possibly can.
Okay, we're going to bake the cake for 50 to 60 minutes in the middle rack of the oven until it's golden brown around the edges. So let's put this in.
There and bake for about 50 to 60 minutes, and then we'll check it to make sure it's done. Time to check it.
You can use a toothpick to check the cake by sticking it into a couple parts. Okay. That part looks done. You can tell by the batter still sticking to the toothpick, it is not done. So let's do it in the middle this time.
Not quite ready. Maybe a few more minutes. So we're going to go ahead and stick it back in the oven, and we'll check on it in a few minutes.
Now it's done. Did you know that in one of Emily Dickinson's letters to a friend she wrote, "I enclose love's remainder biscuit, somewhat scorched, perhaps in baking. Forgive the base proportions."
I love Emily Dickinson's wit. The cake is not overly sweet, but if you'd like to sweeten it up a little bit, you can use some more sugar or sweetened coconut instead of regular coconut. Or if you're a little ambitious and you want to modernize it, you could always add some frosting with a little coconut on top.
Now this smells delicious. It's not scorched at all. Remember, you can always take liberties with the ingredients and make it your own. Emily Dickinson seemed to like the creativity of baking, not the rules, like her poetry. Spices fly in the receipt are the closing lines of one of Dickinson's poems about food. In other words, ingredients are expressive. So go ahead and experiment.
Thank you for joining us in this episode featuring the culinary prowess of Emily Dickinson with Jen
and Kristen. Emily Dickinson understood the strong bonds that sharing food creates. So now we'd like to share our coconut cake with you. Join us next time on Cooking with Authors, where we showcase the culinary treats, green eggs, and ham with Dr. Seuss.
Again, thank you for joining us on this episode on Emily Dickinson and her baking. Have a good night.
I love